Hey guys, Terry here. I recently bought a new Cricut cartridge, got this at a garage sale, and we had taken the grandkids to see a Sesame Street show, so I wanted to cut out an Elmo. So this was only $5 at a garage sale, so I snatched it up, and I want to take you through the process. I've heard a lot of people ask questions about what's the difference between the old Cricut machines and the new Cricut machines. And when I say old, I'm referring to the 6-inch personal Cricut machine, which you can get those for less than $25. People are selling those. They were just 6 inches. The mat was smaller, 6 inches wide. And then the Expression was the 12-inch one. And they were all ones that you used offline. You didn't need a computer and you didn't need to be on the internet. So that's what I'm kind of calling the older generation. They still work perfectly well. You can get them very inexpensively. I've seen the smaller ones, the 6-inch going for $25 and the 12-inch ones going from $50 to $100 depending on how much stuff the people throw in. But I got this cartridge. I didn't know when I bought it whether it was linked or not. I have the newer style. Mine is just the Cricut Air. It's not the latest and greatest one. But it is one that you use with your computer. In other words, it does not have a place for you to lay this mat up onto the top of the machine, and then you push all these buttons to cut the shapes. So that's what I kind of want to walk through today. I hear people asking questions about, well, how do you do it on the computer? And I want to kind of, the purpose of this video is to kind of reassure you that actually doing it on the computer is easier than the old-fashioned way. So let's walk through those steps. I don't have the older machine, but I'm going to kind of walk through it. With the older machine, you would have to get your cartridge out, get your mat out, and then pop your cartridge in the machine, put the mat up, and it had a little screen next to this, and it was kind of hard to see stuff on the screen. The other thing that you had to do was, depending on what your shape you wanted to do, this was all in black and gray, so you kind of don't know what colors of paper to use, so that was a struggle. You would flip through the book to get ideas, which the book is very handy to get ideas. Some of the older books were not in color, so you kind of had to almost Google something and see what color you wanted to cut this. So I want to do this Elmo doing his little happy dance here. And the one thing you had to do was, on this mat, you would have to look on here and find the shape, and I see that it's this little guy here. Some of the books, now this is an older one, some of the books would give a little key shape down here so you would see what key it is. This one doesn't have that little key, so I have to look here on the mat and go, oh, okay, let me compare shapes. It looks like it's this one right here. So this shape here, when you pushed that, it would cut this base, and then you would have to look at your other shapes here. And this one says layer 1, so you would push layer 1 and then the Happy Elmo, and it would cut the red part. And then you would have to do layer 3 is this little eyeball thing. So it's layer 3. So layer 3 is this button, and then that one, and it would cut the eyes, and you would do that on white. Hopefully you can see that. And then his nose is orange, so you would have to hit, they're calling that layer 4. So layer 4 is this button, but it's shift that button. It's shift that button, because layer 3 is the bottom one and layer 4 is the top one. And every key, every mat, these buttons would change a little bit over here. So you kind of had to refer to the book, see which button. I mean, it's all doable, right? It's all doable. It's many layers. It all is using this one button. But between figuring out the colors, figuring out what buttons, figuring out which one of these buttons you have to do shift, to do like the shift came from like on a keyboard when you do capital letters. So it made these buttons have twice as many because you could do one layer and then you could hit the shift and then it's the kind of the capital of it. So yes, you don't have to use a computer, but I want to show you using the computer how easy it is. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so now I've flipped us over to the computer. So what I've done is I've linked this cartridge, I put it into the machine, and then I've told it on the menu here, I logged into my design, Cricut Design, it's called design.cricut.com. I've logged into that software under my account, and then I clicked on link cartridges, and that walked me through putting the cartridge in, and then it connected. So that now is tied to my account. So if I log in anywhere on somebody's computer, those cartridges are all tied to my login account. Okay? And what's nice about that is now I don't have to go to the closet and go dig out my equipment for this. I can totally just store that in a closet, and now, you know, I've got it linked to my account. So I can click on new project over here, and if you hadn't logged in at this point, it would prompt you to log in. But now I'm going to, I've got a new mat up here, and I'm just going to come down here. There's various different things here on the left hand side, and one of them is images. So when I click on images, and like we established, you do have to be connected to the internet. So that's kind of the downside if people go to certain locations that don't have internet. But here at home I have the internet. So I'm going over here. I can search for Elmo. I could also search for, I like to click on cartridges, and then there's a filter option here where you can say just show me the ones that I own. And now I'll type in Elmo. I've got a couple of different not Disney, Sesame Street cartridges. It says right here that I've purchased it, so that's nice to know. If you search for a shape and you don't have it, you can purchase it. It's just that Cricut is still charging like $25 and up for their cartridges. You can find them just everywhere for $5 to $10. So don't spend a lot for you know, these older cartridges. So I'm going to click to open up that. Okay, I'm not sure what that screen was, but when I clicked again up here in the search, it opened up. So I'm not sure what that was, some kind of hiccup. So now I've got this Elmo's Party cartridge opened up, and I'm just scrolling down and I'm looking at the different Elmos, and I'm looking for that one that I wanted that was called Happy. And here he is. So when I open that up, or I mean when I click once on it, notice it still says that it's purchased. If not, you could buy the shapes. I click on insert and it loads it into the mat. Okay, so I'm going to put it up here. Actually, I don't even need to load it up there, but I am looking at the size of it. It's 3 inches tall. I can resize it and make it as large as I want to. Okay, so far I've searched for Elmo, found the one that I own, and now notice over here on the side it has the colors that I need. So it's going to cut his nose in orange, his eyes in white, his body in red, and then there's 2 layers here. So if you notice the little eyeball here, this layer here is hidden. If you click the eyeball, it unhides it. And I noticed that that is a larger border than this one. So let me turn it off again, and you'll notice what changes on Elmo. Notice there's just a little border. If I turn off the little border, notice what changes? The little border is actually the layer behind him that's making the eyes and the mouth have black on it. But if I turn that off and turn on the larger border, it does the same thing. So it's the eyes and the mouth, and it's just the great big body. So I kind of like that they have those two layers there. You can do it in small. You could do the large border or the small border. I'm going to do the larger border. So I'm going to turn off that little border. I could cut both, but I'm just going to save paper. Okay, so I love that it shows you the shapes. And then I'm ready to click on Make It. So we logged in, we searched for it, we found it, and now it's starting to show me what it wants to cut. Okay. Okay, so I just went over and got my paper ready. I have a piece of white, I have a piece of orange, and then I have a piece of red and a piece of black. So let me take you over to the machine. All I'm going to do on the computer is hit continue, and it's going to continually prompt me for loading the mats into my machine. Okay, so the computer is telling me to turn the dial over here to cardstock, and I've got it on cardstock. And then it's telling me to load the mat, and the light is blinking over there. I don't know if you can see it, but the first light is blinking, and that's the load the mat. And on the computer, it's showing me the first thing it's going to cut is the eyeballs. So I've got the white paper loaded, and my mat is super sticky. So I'm going to hit the C, and it's going to cut the first part of the eyeballs here. Okay, the eyeballs cut, they were really tiny. And then it's telling me to reload the mat. And on the computer, it's telling me to, let's see, I want to see what color it's telling me to load next. Okay, it's got the black one up, so it's not cutting in the same order as it was in the layers, but that's okay. I don't know what it goes by. So here's the black, and I just have to hit the C for it to continue cutting. So this was the shadow layer. Okay, that cut pretty good. Okay, so next it's telling me to unload the mat. And then let's see what color is next here. Oh, the red one. Let me get the red. Here's my red. And it's telling me to load the mat. Okay, so we're cutting the red, which is his body. And on the computer, I'll just switch over to the computer. On the computer, it's taking me through each of these layers and telling you what's going on over on the machine. So that's pretty handy. Okay, so it's telling me to load the mat. That was the red layer, so cute. And then finally it's telling me to cut the last little orange layer. Load that mat. They've really taken the guesswork out of it. And then I hit the C, and it's going to cut his little nose out. So then we can assemble it all. And that was a quick cut. Let me pull the mats out, and we'll assemble Elmo. So I just want to show you that in the software, when it told me all the different colors, I just planned for the black and the red to be larger pieces, and then the white and the orange were smaller pieces. So that worked out well. And of course, depending on what you're cutting, you know, your shapes will be different. But I had two mats so that I continually could load one while the other one was working. Okay, so I just want to show you that on the computer it took me back to my image here. And if I had to kind of see where everything goes, let's say if there was a lot of small pieces, I could increase the size of this so that I could see it better. But this one's pretty simple. I've got the background, I've got his red body, and I have his eyes for the top, and then I have his nose. so I can kind of see where those go. So he's going to be really adorable. So I'll get my glue out and assemble him. But hopefully it shows you that the software is pretty easy to navigate. When you first come into the software, you log in. It's very important to have all your login set up so that you do have all your linked cartridges. You click on New Project, and then you can go search your images. And there's ones that you can buy. You can go to your cartridges. You can filter on the ones that you own. And then you can see what all you want to look for. You can type in words and find things. So I think the software is really easy to use, and I just can't stress enough that when you pick any of these objects, just pick one here, you know, and you load it onto your mat, you basically pick it, insert the image, and it has everything. And then you click make it, and it just starts telling you what colors to make everything. You can scroll down here and see that you've got a couple different colors of green and a pink. So you hit continue, you load your mats. It just makes it so much easier than the I'll call it the old-fashioned way of doing it, where you had to find the shape, had to hit the right shift buttons. I don't know, I found that I wasted a lot of paper. I would cut the wrong thing. I'd hit go and it was picking, it was cutting something else instead of the one that I wanted to cut. So I just encourage you, I know it's on the computer, I know the computer can be intimidating, but if you have the luxury of having a computer and having internet, I do encourage you to look at the newer Cricut machines. So thanks guys, I hope this helps.